Welcome to the Real People, Real Business Show. My name is Stephanie Hayes, and I'm a business strategist who loves to speak with like-minded entrepreneurs to share their real stories and the gritty details of building their businesses. On this show, you won't hear the glamorized entrepreneurship journeys that you see online. You won't be told how to make six figures in 6 weeks. Instead, you can expect to hear real, vulnerable, and inspiring stories you can relate to that have helped create the foundation for each of our guests' businesses. Goodbye, boss babes. Hello, real-life entrepreneurs. Today, I'm so excited to welcome John and Mark X Cronin. John and Mark X are the father and son team that founded John's Crazy Socks, a social enterprise with a mission to spread happiness. John is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a speaker, an athlete, and a dancer who just happens to have Down syndrome. You may have seen them on one of their many television appearances. You may know them for being named Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year, or testifying before Congress, or speaking at the United Nations. You may know them because John became sock buddies with President George H.W. Bush, or you may know them for having bootstrapped a startup into a multi-million-dollar social enterprise in the world's largest sock store. You love their socks, but the socks are just the physical manifestation of the happiness that they share. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and thanks so much for taking the time to share your story today.
Thank you, Stephanie. Are we very fortunate?
We're really glad to be here, and we love the idea because we're actually real people.
I know you are. I'm looking at you right now.
Come here. If I punch him, he hurts.
Am I a
Muppet or a man?
You guys are such a joy. So dive right in. Let's hear it. So what's the backstory behind John's Crazy Socks?
Well, our story starts just about 6 years ago. In fact, we're going to celebrate our 6th anniversary this weekend.
This Friday.
This Friday. Our story starts in a small log cabin in the woods.
No.
It starts out on suburban Long Island outside New York City, but born out of necessity. John, where were you?
I was at Huntington High School. I'm going to be my last year of school.
You were looking around trying to figure out what do I do when I'm done with school?
Yes.
And you didn't see anything you liked. Now, we should make sure people know, among all the other things you have going on, you have Down syndrome.
I do. I have Down syndrome. Down syndrome never coming back.
And Stephanie, this is an unfortunate reality. There just aren't enough opportunities for people with differing abilities. So John didn't see anything he liked. And that was tough, but that's, only 1 in 5 people with a disability in the US have a job. And it's similar in Canada. It's awful. But John's a natural entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
If you didn't see a job you wanted, what'd you say?
I want to create one. I want to make one, Dad.
What'd you tell me?
I want to go business with my father, a nice father-son business together.
So this is pretty cool. I'm a lucky man. I got 3 sons.
Yes, you are.
John's the youngest, and
Yes, I am.
and this is one I can work with.
Yes, I am.
So okay, we're going to go into business together. You work with entrepreneurs all the time. Entrepreneurs have lots of ideas.
I love education.
Some of those ideas are good ideas. What was one of your ideas for a business?
A food truck. I come idea from the movie Chef, John Favreau, the movie about a father and son buying a food truck.
And this seemed like a lot of fun. And we're thinking, what could we make and where would we put it? But we ran into a problem.
We can't cook.
Yeah, we can't. So it
Small
wasn't,
problem, just a small problem.
It wasn't going to be a food truck. But then, right before Thanksgiving.
I have plenty ideas.
Brilliant, your Eureka moment.
Oh, I come in my head. I want some Crazy Socks. Why socks? It's fun. It's colorful. It's creative. It's always let me be me. I want Crazy Socks my whole life.
Right, we used to drive around looking for them.
Right.
So we figured this. If John loved those socks that much, surely other people would too, and we could connect with them. So at that point, we eschewed the traditional business plan route. We said, let's just get something up and running. We'll go with the lean startup. So we built a website on the Shopify platform.
Yes.
We got a little bit of inventory. That was a little bit of a challenge because suppliers wouldn't sell to us until we showed that we had customers. But if we couldn't get any inventory, how could we get customers? So we had to control a few to sell to us, even though we had to pay up front. We were bootstrapping. And again, many of your listeners will relate to that. We got asked recently by a student, well, what exactly is bootstrapping? What does that mean? He said, it means you have no money. So you have to figure out, how do you make do with what you have? So the only marketing we did was to set up a Facebook page, and I would take out my cell phone and we made videos. And who was in those videos?
I am. I talk about socks. I have a catchphrase. Socks, socks, and more socks.
And we
John,
know-
how many pairs of socks do you own?
We have 4,000 different kinds of socks.
well, that's here in the warehouse. But how many do you own? I do know at one point he told me, Dad, you got to get me a new dresser because I need my socks. But we opened, that's how we built and got started. What day did we open?
We opened on Friday, December 9th, 2016.
And we didn't know what to expect. But we were very fortunate. We got what felt like a flood of orders. We got 42 orders the first day. And most of them were local, which made sense, right? He's in the local high school. That's where we lived. We had temporary office space there. What did we do with those first orders?
Our home delivery, we get red boxes.
Put the socks in the box.
Yeah.
We looked at it and said, this needs something else.
I put a sticky note and I put on the back of the
We put
candy.
candy in, right?
Yeah.
Loaded up the car and drove around. And you knocked on doors delivering socks.
I did.
How'd the customers respond?
Customers loved it, and they took a picture with me and their socks and share it on social media. I did a spread.
We had customers ordering again just to get John to come back to their door.
Yes.
And there was some funny nights, right? We're out at past 10 o'clock at night and John's knocking on doors saying, just John with your socks, like don't shoot.
Just
You
for
know,
me.
it's so at the end of that month, really 2 weeks, we had shipped 452 orders and we knew we had something. We didn't know how fast it would grow. We didn't know where it would go, but we knew we could develop that business because you learn by doing. So we learned a few things. One,
One, people want my socks. Two, people want my socks for me.
they related to John. They liked that personal touch of the thank you note and candy. They liked the fact we had already pledged 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics. And there was something that we learned that caught us by surprise. But there are some things you're going to learn only because you go and actually do. And that was that we got a very emotional response from people because they saw a young man with Down syndrome starting a business. And we also learned that this young man,
This is old man.
this old man, we could sell socks.
Okay, Alan.
Yes, thank you.
That's
So
about
that's where we started. 6 years later, we are now the world's largest sock store in terms of choice. John told you we have 4,000 different socks.
4,000 different kinds of socks.
We've shipped over 390,000 packages to 88 different countries. We've been able to create 34 year-round jobs. 22 of those are held by people with different abilities. We just added 15 seasonal workers, 12 of whom have different abilities. We've raised over $550,000 US for our charity partners. And as you like to say, we're just getting
I think
started.
it's dying.
So it's good.
Now you simplify what you've actually accomplished, because in addition to growing the business and building the revenue that you've built and building something sustainable, which is hard, by the way, you guys are speaking, you are doing charitable work. And I think what I love so much about your business is your commitment to these 5 pillars. And I wondered if maybe you could talk a little bit about those 5 pillars, how you make sure that those are always true in everything that you do.
Sure. Well, you have to start and know what you're about. So what's our mission?
Spreading happiness.
Spreading happiness. And, you know, I'm the old one, so I've been around. I've participated in corporate mission statement writing exercises. They're awful. You know, people put it on the wall and nobody knows what it says and no one pays attention. But for us, that's spreading happiness. We talk about that every day. That becomes the criteria we use for making our decisions. You know, talking about the website, talking about products, talking about delivery. And that's really important. And I don't think that there's any particular rocket science to it. It's, you have to believe it, you have to keep talking about it, and it then becomes manifest in everything you do. Right? And what do you say are the keys to happiness?
It's gratitude and do for others.
Gratitude, do for others, and that really drives us. So what we have is a slightly different type of business model. It's a social enterprise. We have both that social and a business mission, and they feed off of each other. We wouldn't exist if we didn't have them both. Wait, think about it this way. You know, we've gone out and counted the number of sock companies out there. It turns out there are 1 gazillion sock companies. And if all we're doing is selling socks, what do we say? Ours are better than yours.
And that smells like
They
yours.
don't smell like yours. They're cheaper. We'd be lost. But because we have this mission, this story, this purpose, that differentiates us with them in the marketplace. And that helps us stand out and connect to customers. And our 5 pillars are an outgrowth of that. 1,
Is spread and hope. 2, give it back. 3, fun products you can love. 4, make it personal. And 5, make it a great place to work.
we added the 5th one as we grew, right? So just think about this. If our mission is to spread happiness with our customers in the community, we have to start at home. We have to start here. Our colleagues have to be happy working at John's Crazy Socks. They have to be engaged. And we break that down into 5 pieces. 1, offer people a mission worthy of their commitment. You know, in the United States, since August of last year, 4 million people have quit their jobs each month. People are saying, I'm not going to work for a crap wage. I'm not going to work in bad circumstances. And they're asking, you know, if I'm working 40 hours a week, what am I doing? Well, you want to offer them a purpose, something larger than ourselves. And it's got to be more than we're just going to make money. And you know, Stephanie, you know, yes, we want to make money. It turns out John and I like to live indoors.
Right.
But it's got to be more than that. Then 2, make sure everybody knows why his or her job matters. There's no cog in the machinery. There's no make work. I had a friend, a business owner, say to me recently, yeah, well, Mark, that sounds nice, but you can't make sure that everybody's job is important. I'm looking at him saying, well, then why do you employ these people? If their jobs don't matter, why are they on your payroll? Everybody's got to know how what they do matters and connects to the mission. Then put people in a position to succeed. Don't ask people to do what they can't do. We don't ask John to do our finances.
No.
Give people what they need. if Kenny, our lead packer, needs a particular chair, why don't we get him that chair? Now, we're a small business. We don't have endless resources. But if you just pay attention, you can take care of people. 4, recognize what people do. Stephanie, you prepare for your podcast. You work at it. Don't you like it when somebody says to you, hey, Stephanie, I was listening. You do a great job. Right? Some of it's as simple as just say thank you. And then the last piece is stay the hell out of the way. Let people do their jobs. Right? So that rolls up to, let's make this a great place to work. The making it personal, well, you heard from day one, we're doing home deliveries. We're putting thank you notes and candy in every package. That's true now. We've sent 390,000 packages out with candy in them. You know, you make some missteps. When we started, what candy were we using?
100 Kisses.
Hershey's Kisses, which everybody loved, right? You open a package, you could smell the chocolate. Until we got the email from the woman in Florida saying you may not want to send chocolate to the South in the mail.
Oh no.
So now what do we put in?
And now we put Skittles and
Skittles,
just try to put fruit
things
back.
that don't melt. Right? But you ask, how do you do it? You have to start with that belief. You have to start with the belief that we want to make a personal connection with customers. Then it becomes manifest in everything we do. So we don't go chasing transactions. We're looking to build relationships. And I'll give you an example that your listeners, your business owners can relate to. One of your most valuable assets is your email list. Well, if you sell online, you know, every time you send out an email blast, you're going to get a little blip in sales. You might get a big blip in sales. So it's really tempting to send out a lot of emails. There are some companies I get 4 emails a day from. Who the hell wants 4 emails a day? Right? So we look at it that our customers have trusted us with their email. And we're going to respect that trust. We only send emails out to people that want to get them. So yeah, you have to sign up. But then if you stop opening the emails, we'll stop sending it to you. We don't want to bother you. So we have over 250,000 email names. But when we send out a blast to everybody, it goes to about 90,000. We only send out 2 email blasts a week. One will introduce a new product or tell them something new we have. But the other is John's Friday email. No sales. It's just John sharing
Right.
what he's up to and what's going on. And what are the results of that? Well, in email, one of the metrics that you track is open rate. You want to hit at least a 20% open rate. If you get up to 30%, you're doing pretty well. We get a 55% open rate because we're connecting with customers. That will serve us better in the long run. So that's an example of how you make that real. Very tangible, nuts and bolts. But that shows up in everything we do. We don't have any voice jail. You call here, you're going to talk to an actual person. You're going to have an actual human conversation. There are no scripts. We don't listen in on phone calls. Then it's fun products you can love. That there are kind of 2 levels to that. One is choosing what we sell.
Right.
So it's got to be fun. It's got to spread happiness.
Absolutely. I can be behind.
And John's got to endorse it. If John can't stand up and endorse a product, we won't sell it.
Absolutely.
And there have been some things we've sent back because we said, "Now, John can't do this." But it also means we have to fulfill our promises. Yes, we have a social mission. Yes, we hire people with different abilities, but we have to make good on our promise to our customers. So we have to have a great website. We got to have great selection. We have more selection than anybody else. The products have to be good. We have over 30,000 5-star reviews. And the service has to be good. We do same-day shipping. We do better shipping than Amazon. And Jeff Bezos over at Amazon, He's not putting a thank you note and candy in his package.
No candy,
No.
and especially not chocolate.
Right? It's not, right? And
Right.
then giving back. It's not enough to just sell stuff. You got to connect. You got to engage. We want to show gratitude. So we started by pledging 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics. And why the Special Olympics?
I am a Special Olympic athlete.
Right? How long you been in Special Olympics?
21 years.
21 years. What sports?
Basketball, track and field, soccer, and snowshoe.
Snowshoe.
But you're a dancer as well.
Yeah. I am a fair dancer.
If there was no Special Olympics, there'd be no John's Crazy Socks. He's learned so much, gained confidence and experience through that. So that's an important way to give back. But we've gone on to create products that celebrate causes, raise awareness, and raise money for those causes. So the first awareness sock we created was
I downloaded from a awareness sock.
Down syndrome awareness socks. And who created that?
I did.
And that raises money for the National Down Syndrome Society and a local group, ACDS. But we have autism awareness socks, cerebral palsy awareness,
Animal, no sort of really.
animal rescue socks. So we've raised over $550,000 for our charity partners. John's donated over $125,000 to the Special Olympics, more than any Special Olympic athlete. But that connects us with our customers, because our customers know part of the experience of buying here is they're supporting these charities that matter to them. As we record this, we're in the beginning of December 2022. Well, we're doing our 12 days of giving. Each day, we highlight a different charity partner, and we donate $1 from every order received to that charity partner. So today, for example, we are celebrating the Autism Society of America. So every order we receive today, we'll donate an extra $1 to the Autism Society of America. You got to look for ways to give back, but that becomes an important business principle because it's part of the experience we share with our customers, and it's part of how we connect with our customers. And then inspiration and hope.
Isn't it?
That's the most important pillar.
Yes.
We want to show what people with different abilities can do. We start with John here. Right? You have Down syndrome?
Yes, I am.
We don't put you in the back.
I'll be in the front. I am afraid of the business.
And this has two sides to it. On one hand, we want to encourage students and people with different abilities. We want to give them hope. We want to encourage them. We want to send them a message. We need you. You have skills, you have abilities. We need you in the market. So we host tours here. We've had over 1,000 people come through our operations. We host work groups from schools. Now we've moved much of this online, so we've had school groups around the world come through. We speak at schools and with parents. We want to show, look what can happen. The other side of that is speaking to other businesses and policymakers to say, hiring people with differing abilities is not altruism. It's good business. We make that business argument all the time. So we've made 2 TEDx talks on that subject. We've spoken at conferences and with businesses from Microsoft and IBM and LinkedIn and Ernst & Young. We visited Vancouver with the U.S. State Department, speaking to some local groups there and speaking at the university. Anything we can do to let's get out and don't tell, show people, demonstrate. And the business has given us a platform where some people will listen to us. And that creates an obligation on our part to speak up for people who can't speak for themselves. Right? So that's led us to testify twice before the US Congress. We get to meet with legislators. And when we get those opportunities, we have to speak up for others. All that rolls up to become John's Crazy Socks.
Well, and I think this is what's just so compelling to me is that you haven't created a business. You created an entire life. You've created an entire platform. You've created an entire brand that has nothing to do with socks.
Right. The socks, we are simultaneously the world's largest sock store, and yet we're not really a sock store. Yeah. The socks become the physical manifestation of the story and the mission. You know, in that ways, we're as much a content company as we are a sock company. But the socks become the thing that can bind us. So if you're a customer, you're getting this experience. You buy from us and you help us employ people with different abilities. You help us give back. Most of all, you help us spread happiness. You know, the thing that makes us feel best is when customers tell us, when I put the socks on in the morning, they just make me feel good.
So, you know, it's an old sort of business adage, but you know, as a customer, I'm buying your products because of what it says about me too, and what I believe in. And I think what you guys have done so beautifully, probably not even intentionally, completely from the heart, was make this an experience, make this emotional connection with your customers, with John as a brand, and because he just so naturally fits.
Yes, it's that personal connection. And we know the hero in our story is our customer.
That's right.
Because it's the customer that makes everything possible. And we can share, you know, we know you have an audience of business owners out there. It's not all been easy. You know, we bootstrapped, which meant we were undercapitalized. So particularly in our second year, we experienced rapid growth, which everybody wants, but that puts a big strain on your finances. I remember the end of the year, I'm looking saying, oh, we had great revenue and we made a profit on paper. How come I have no money? You know, my accountant's laughing at me. He said, Mark, it's all in your inventory and in your warehouse that you built out. And then in the next year, when things came down to earth, we ran out of money. And we had people wanting to, you know, investors coming along, wanting to put money in the company. And what they really wanted to do was buy the name and the image and shut us down. And they're telling us, oh, you and John will make out great. Well, we never would, because the brand has to be more than just a smiling face. It's everything that you do. Right?
And I think this is relevant not just to a social enterprise, but even if your business is entirely for profit, I think the same lesson applies. I think the same approach applies, that you need to believe in something and you need to be behind something, right?
Yes, because particularly here, you know, when times get tough, and they will, if you know what you're about and you know what your values are, that will give you your North Star and will keep you moving forward. Right? Who the heck predicted a pandemic? In 2020, when we got hit with that, it was awful. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And what do? Well, we knew what we were about. So, you know, the first thing we had to do was make sure everybody was safe. Right. Particularly many of our colleagues were very vulnerable. Make sure everybody's safe. And then how can you adapt? Well, you move speaking engagements online and tours online. We had socks. We made healthcare superhero socks to say thank you to frontline workers. And they raised over $50,000 for the American Nurses Foundation. And then what else can you do? What new opportunities present? Well, we made masks. But how do you spread happiness if everybody's shut down? Oh, what do you do every Tuesday afternoon?
Every Tuesday, I heard a dance party at 3 p.m.
John hosts an online dance party. What better way to make people
Yeah,
happy
Dad.
than dance?
Wait, I want to join your online dance parties.
I'm enjoying
Yeah,
it. Go to the website. What's the website?
At johnscrazystocks.com.
And at the bottom, you can sign up for the dance party, right?
Oh, I'm so in.
We started a Facebook Live show, which is, we still do, and that evolved. Now we have our own podcast. What's that called?
A spring happy pocket.
Just 30 minutes of us bantering and telling some jokes. John updates his love life.
Yeah.
But because that's part of the mission. How can we spread happiness? And that helped us survive and thrive through the pandemic.
But here's what's so beautiful about this is every time I would look at my socks, there's happiness.
Right.
Right. I don't want to just put on regular socks every day. I have banana socks that my dear friends in California sent to me. And every time I put them on, I think of my dear friends in California. These are not just consumer items, are they?
No, they become memorable. Like we've been selling direct to consumer. Right now, our fastest growing segment is actually business to business. Other businesses buying. Why? Well, you buy the socks, give them out to your customers or your employees. People actually wear them and they remember you. And every time they put them on, they're going to think about you. And if they're powered by us, well, there's another story behind it. And then somebody sees them wearing those socks and says something, and now they share that story. It's so much better than a T-shirt or another coffee mug or another stress ball.
And it's practical.
Yeah.
John, what's it like working with your dad?
I like working with my dad, and a way my dad taught me, like he believed me. He knew I can success. How he I learned a lot. I learned a lot because my dad gave me strength, and he become a great successful. And I'm so lucky to have a great partner like him.
So Stephanie, we recently received a family business award, and we're at this event, and all these people are speaking all the glorious, wonderful things about family businesses. Well, let's talk a little reality, okay? So John and I founded this business. One of his brothers, one of my other sons, came and worked with us for a bit. He doesn't work with us anymore. And this is a good thing. Now understand, I love him dearly. We are close. But if we kept working together, you were going to find us both in a pool of blood on the floor with axes in our heads. Right? And John, my wife, your mom works with us, right? What's her title?
She's the mama bear.
She's the mama bear. There are times like we're driving home and she'll just look at me and say, can we please just stop? Can we please leave this in the office? Can we? There are always struggles in a family business.
Mm-hmm.
And, then the numbers don't speak well for family businesses. The failure rates in second generation and then by third generation are astronomical. But we're fortunate. I'm lucky.
If you're just listening to this, you'll have to imagine John and his dad hugging and kissing on the screen right now. And I might cry. I think this is just a beautiful story. There's one question I ask all of my podcast episode guests that I would love to hear your response to. As you know, this show is about telling the real stories, telling the gritty, the vulnerable, all the stuff that actually happens out there. What's the biggest difference between what we hear out there in the business world and what's real about running a business?
Well, I think part of it is the challenge to do it every day. The fact that you were successful yesterday does not mean you will be successful today or tomorrow. and you have to keep finding a way. And we've had our ups and downs. You know, we tell this story and it all sounds so wonderful and easy. By the end of 2019, we were, for all intents and purposes, bankrupt. I remember meeting with a bankruptcy law firm, with them telling me, Mark, you have to declare Chapter 11. We'll handle that for you. All you have to do is give us $50,000 up front. And I looked at him and I said, guys, if I had $50,000, I wouldn't be talking to you. That can be tough. You know, taking on the responsibility for all the people we have working here is tough. There are great joys, and wouldn't want it any other way. But there are challenges that you're going to face every day. And it's not, you know, it's particularly something we share when we speak with students. And there's not a question of will things go wrong. It's only a question of when will they go wrong. And then you have to find a way forward. You know, sometimes it's as easy as Skittles instead of Hershey's Kisses. Sometimes it's not.
I love that. You guys, it's been an absolute delight talking to you today. Can you share with our audience, how can they find you? And we'll post all your links and we'll post all of the wonderful things that you have sent over in the show notes. But for those who are just listening, can you tell them what is the best way that they can find you?
How do they
get
find
some
it?
socks?
johnscrazysocks.com. If you want to reach out to us personally, you can do it there. You can find out, you know, you go to the bottom, there's a lot of information. You'll find out about the dance party, about custom socks, gift packages, speaking engagements, our podcast. And you can come and get great socks. And when you do, you're going to help us employ people with different abilities. You help us give back. Most of all, you help us spread happiness.
Well, I can't think of any better reason to go shopping. I love it, you guys. Listen, we are up against time and I wish we could talk for another hour, but it's been such a delight having you both here. Thank you so much for your time. And we're going to wrap up the episode. I'm so happy we had the opportunity to chat with John and Mark today to hear more about how their business came to be, their experiences along the way, and what the future of the business entails. And thank you for tuning into this episode of the Real People, Real Business Show, where we get the real entrepreneurial stories and journeys that you can relate to. Show notes, resources, and links from this episode, go buy some socks, are available on my website and social media platforms. Thank you again for joining us today. And if you've enjoyed today's content, I'd love for you to give us a review on whatever platform you're on to help us share these genuine stories and socks with an even bigger audience. Until next time, keep building, keep dreaming, and keep being real.